Spurs Up, Carolina fans. This is Phil Harris again here at the Ruckin Rooster Show on Gamecock Rugby YouTube. I've got two absolute champions for the interview today, two legends, living legends. We've got Chris Phillips of the Spurs Up Show, and we've got current rugby player for the Gamecocks, Gavin Bennett, former football player, is here with us as well. Boys, how the hell are you?
Phil, appreciate you having me on. Gavin, it's great to see you again, by the way. I've been hyping up Gavin a lot lately, Phil, telling people, obviously we've been promoting this a little bit, but Gavin, of course, came on the airwaves. And again, truly, honestly, in my opinion, gave one of the better interviews of the 2021 calendar year, shedding light on the Will Muschamp era that was and the start of the Shane Beamer era. But Phil, always a pleasure to chat with you. And Gavin, man, it's great to see you again, obviously. I was telling people not to give away our location in Cola, but we are somewhat of neighbors. So it's a small world, man, but it feels good to be talking to you guys. Appreciate it, Phil.
Yeah, thank you, Phil. I appreciate you having me. I'm with two legends myself, so it's an honor to be in the same ranks as you guys.
Yeah, cheers, boys. This is great. It's so awesome to have both of you on here. Waiting for this for a long time. So yeah, let's get right into it. Chris, give us a quick rundown of your background and history of the Spurs Up Show.
Where to begin? I'll try to give you the shortest version possible, most in-depth, but most condensed, because we could go on for quite a while. My background, sports background, I'm a baseball guy, played college baseball at Newberry College, born and raised a Gamecock fan. Again, most people are really surprised that I did not go to the University of South Carolina. They're like, how do you talk Gamecocks and cover the Gamecocks? Didn't go there. Right. Got into USC. I was a little bit of a late bloomer in high school. Could have tried to walk on to South Carolina, but really wanted to pursue the baseball dream, if you will. So that's what took me to Newberry, but always been a diehard Gamecock. I joke with people and that, some of the greatest moments in South Carolina football history. I was on a baseball diamond when it was happening. For example, the 2010 South Carolina Alabama game, we were actually scrimmaging that day. So I was in the bullpen. We all were on our phones checking on the scores. And so the only bit of that game I saw live was the last 5 minutes or so. But no, always been a sports guy, played college baseball, been a Gamecock, born and raised ever since I was like 10 or 11 when it really clicked. When my grandfather got me into it, was a diehard, and always had a passion too for, I guess you could call it self-expression, if you will. I could go back again way early to when I was in middle school, when kids would have writing blocks and stuff like that and writing their composition notebooks about whatever you want for 30 minutes. Me and my buddies were writing about college football. Like we were literally predicting the games. And I'll never forget making like a pamphlet in high school that was a project assignment. I think I've talked to you about this, Phil. It's like, yes. It's so funny how life comes full circle, because I remember making a pamphlet for my grandfather. Again, he and I were like best friends growing up, and we'd watch all the games together. And I made a pamphlet for the 2006 South Carolina Florida game. And in that pamphlet was key matchups, keys to the game, prediction. And I'm like, it's so funny how life comes full circle. I was 14 years old thinking of nothing doing that. And it's exactly what I do now, like literally on a daily basis. But yeah, went to college, played baseball. Like I said, actually the path to the Spurs Up Show and starting it was very interesting. Moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, worked in sales and digital marketing, was always on social media. Again, I always loved the self-expression, be able to give your opinion. I was a consumer before I was a producer in regards to, I listened to a lot of podcasts and consume content on social media, would chime in here and there. My biggest thing was I always thought it was something I could do, but just didn't really know how to get started. Right. Starting from zero, starting from scratch, as Phil, it's like, well, where do I even begin? So fast forward to, again, I'm in Charlotte working in sales, digital marketing, didn't necessarily love what I was doing, wasn't fulfilled. Again, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I just didn't know what that thing was. And little did I know, it was right under my nose. So finally on social media in like December 2016, early January 2017, found this page. Armchair All-Americans was the name. They were looking for a South Carolina contributor. They had 30 followers on Twitter, no Instagram, no Facebook. They said, hey, you can basically have creative control. So I jumped to the opportunity. There was no really audience or platform there, but I just said, hey, I have the opportunity to voice my opinion about my favorite team. So it was actually funny. We're talking on the day we're talking is Monday, January the 24th. It was like a couple of days ago, 5 years, the date was the first ever article, ever piece of content I released for them. It was about Jamias Williams, believe it or not, when he committed to South Carolina or whatever. So that takes you back, right? We know that name. But started the podcast itself in April of 2017. And again, long story short, just kept grinding, kept consistent at it, stayed consistent on social media. Obviously, it's a very slow grind, as Phil, on social media. And, a year later, we were pushing over 1,000 followers and continue to grow. And eventually I started pushing on Instagram and Facebook. And so I made the decision from that point. Again, started January 2017, November of 2018, I got the LLC, just kind of felt like there was some potential to it. And then May of 2019, I left Charlotte, went to New York for a couple months to kind of stack a nest egg, to move to Columbia in August of 2019 and pursue the business. And of course, life throws you some curveballs. So my first full year as an entrepreneur in Columbia was COVID. So that was a very interesting dynamic navigating through that. But yeah, I've been here ever since August 2019, and the business has been growing and growing and growing. So, and obviously we're still doing it today, and the content has evolved. That's been the most fun part, I'm sure, as you know, Phil, obviously going from, we used to not have a daily live show, for example. And so we're doing the Daily Crow now, and the way the podcasts evolve and all the content and the graphics, the merchandise was a huge thing that evolved in 2021. So yeah, we could go a lot more in depth. That's sort of the background, if you will. Yeah. Phil rocking the merch. I appreciate it, but that's, it's been one heck of a journey, like I said. And I still really feel like, believe it or not, that we're just getting started. We're just 1% of the way. So I'm really excited for what's to come. But yeah, it's been an awesome journey. And again, I appreciate you, Phil, because I know you've been around for quite a while. So you've seen a lot of the evolution. It's been really cool to go through it and have people support along the way. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man, it's so awesome to see your success, and I know that you're living your dream. So that's more power to you, my brother. And that is officially Chris's quick rundown of his background right there.
We could spend like a couple of hours going into it, because there's so many micro successes along the way. But like I said, the cool thing is, I feel like we're just getting started. There's still so many firsts that are happening. And I was telling somebody this earlier tonight, is that people don't even realize, like, this baseball season upcoming, and obviously I'm a huge baseball guy, this baseball season upcoming is going to be, knock on wood, fingers crossed, obviously the first full, normal, 100% capacity baseball season from start to finish that I've covered doing the Spurs Up Show full time. I mean, that just gives you some perspective of, like, we're still hitting all these firsts. And so it's cool, man. It's cool. I always say the joy is in the journey, and I'm truly enjoying every second of it.
Yeah, that's super exciting about baseball. But at the same time, we've got Rugby Sevens for Gamecock Rugby coming up. So Gavin, I'm going to throw it to you, my brother. So where are you from? Tell us about your football background, and how did you find rugby?
All right, so I'm Gavin Bennett. I'm a senior at USC. I'm from Rock Hill, South Carolina, about 45 minutes south of Charlotte. Kind of just a little bit about my football career. Started out playing Pop Warner. Actually, one of my buddies, lifelong friend, he plays at Cincinnati now. His father invited me out to practice, and I immediately fell in love with the sport. I played pretty much every sport under the sun: swam, baseball, wrestling, football, baseball. I tried my hand at basketball. That didn't work out well, but football has been my main sport for years. And I finished my senior year of high school, a 3-time state champion, and 60 pounds underweight, but I was a start left tackle, and our quarterback won Gatorade Player of the Year. I think half of our starting offense went on to play Division I football, and it was just me, just an underweight left tackle. And so I asked my buddy Joe Irvin, and he had a bunch of offers. I said, Joe, what do I got to do to get offered? And it was a surreal moment when I finished my last game and I had 0 offers. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, yeah, like I feel like I have the athletic potential and the work ethic to get there. So he introduced me to this thing called Twitter, and I made a highlight reel. Me and him sat down, we made it, and I just started sending it out to every single university that came up on Twitter. And Matt Lindsay from the Gamecocks was the first person ever to reach out to me. And he invited me down to a game, and had a lot of fun that night. And I told myself, I'm going to play football at the University of South Carolina. Always been a Gamecock fan. My dad's from up north, so college football wasn't as big, but his boss gave us tickets to my first game. I think I was 13 years old. Then on, Gamecock fan for life. So it just kind of felt like home. I came here. I decided to play football as a preferred walk-on. Unfortunately, it didn't produce too much, but I was the mullet man, which was my main staple of my playing career, which was awesome. But no, I made a lot of good friends, lifelong friends. I was the first guy in the building, last one to leave. I put in every ounce of effort and blood and sweat and tears into the program. And I decided to depart from the team just because I felt like there was something more. It was like kind of running into, the same brick wall.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped playing, and my dad actually interviewed somebody who was a Gamecock Rugby player. And my dad kind of brought up to him, oh, my son, he's not playing football anymore. He's interested in playing a sport. He goes, oh, I'll give you John Golden's number.
Nice.
And,
Goldie.
it took one phone call, and I was a Gamecock Rugby player. So I've been on the team it will be officially a year in February. And I have never had more fun in my entire life. So I guess that's my little athletic background, but.
Perfect.
No.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so glad that you were able to join Carolina Rugby. I know that you're a hell of a rugby player. I told your dad that actually at the Alabama game. I came up to him, I shook his hand. I said, your son is a hell of a rugby player, and it's absolutely true. I didn't lie to him at all. You're doing a great job out there representing Carolina Rugby. You've played both. Well, actually, let me jump back to Chris for a second. Tell us about the Spurs Up Show athlete program and the connection with Carolina Rugby. How did that come about?
Yeah, so the NIL opportunities have been awesome, man. Obviously, if you're not familiar with the name, image, likeness, and I think this took place or really went into practice, if you will, last July. I think it was over the summer, just before college football season got going. It was something that, obviously, again, if you're unfamiliar, it gives athletes the opportunity, student athletes specifically, to make money, make profit, if you will, benefit off of their name, their image, and likeness. So whether it be merchandise, be promos, video, social media, any type of advertising, if you will, those type of opportunities. And so, it was something where, just taking you back to my initial thoughts on NIL, I think it's great. I think it's great, man, that players are able to benefit off that, because too often we've seen, it's the age-old argument in regards to, I know, Phil, when you were at South Carolina, and, this used to be a thing where, when Marcus Lattimore was at South Carolina and Steven Garcia, there'd be 5 jerseys and 21 jerseys and 7 jerseys when Clowney was there. And those guys weren't seeing a dime. And meanwhile, they're in their dorm rooms eating ramen noodles. And, I know things are a little bit different now, but not seeing a dime off that, right? Not able to benefit off that. The thing that irked me a lot was, if someone is a fan, you couldn't go pay a kid. I couldn't go pay Luke Doty or anybody $100 for an autograph without him getting in very serious trouble. So no longer is that a thing, which is awesome. But it was something where the NIL, I kind of wanted to sit back and see how it was going to play out, because Phil, obviously, again, you've been on the show and everybody's giving their opinion. It's going to ruin college athletics. It's going to ruin college football. And I was actually able to talk, and I know he won't mind me saying this, but Eric Kimry, a good buddy of mine that's on the staff, I actually called him and we had a really productive conversation as soon as it took place. Just, hey, what do you think of the NIL? How do you think it's going to unfold? And it was something where I really wanted to sit back and see how it played out. And as I thought, it's something where anything new happens, people overreact. They make too much of it than it really is. And so that's exactly what happened. And it's turned out, I think, to be a really, really good thing. And we've seen some positive things come of it to carry on. Joyner with his stuff after the bowl game. And obviously what we're doing with TSUS. So I waited until mid-basketball season to sign our first Spurs Up Show athlete. And I've always wanted to be involved, but, wasn't exactly sure how. Of course, as everybody knows, we are independent. And USC is very, very anal in regards to their athletes and their media availabilities and going on shows. They're very, very strict with who they talk to and what they work with. And now this is sort of like open the playing field up for people like yours truly and others to have access to these athletes and say, hey, that's great what USC is doing for you, but here's what we can do for you through. And I knew merchandise was going to be our main source of doing it, but also of recent, the business has grown and people really rock with the Spurs Up Show. And so having things such as brand ambassadors and people who really just want to rep TSUS, you know what I mean? People who just want to rep the brand and push it and support. And so the connection with rugby, man, really just came because these guys reached out. They were interested. And I told them that a couple of days ago. I was like, honestly, man, it's still something very foreign to me. It's something so new, and it's sort of like the Wild Wild West, Phil. We're kind of just learning as we go. You know what I mean? Like, everything's sort of fair game right now. And I tell you what, if I don't know if there's any USC athletes, student athletes that are tuned in right now, but I would just say, if there's a student athlete out there that wants to reach out to me directly, reach out to us, say, hey, really love what y'all are doing. Really appreciate it. Rock with the brand, rock with the business, rock what you do. I want to be a TSUS athlete. Who am I to tell them no? You know what I mean? If somebody feels that adamantly, because not everybody's going to do that. So again, I know that's kind of there's not a ton of structure to it. You'd probably think there's a lot more, but it's still a new thing. But that's really how it started, man. These guys, Gavin and others, reached out and said, hey, we rock with what you're doing, man, and would love to be a TSUS athlete and just support and represent. And as you know, Phil, I've always had it started with lacrosse. And now, of course, through you, obviously having you guys head coach on and everything on the show, I've always felt it was important to support the club sports, man. I mean, I think they're just as big and important. And, maybe they're not football, baseball, basketball, the big three. Maybe they're not, their club versus whatever. But, when Gamecocks lacrosse goes and wins a national championship, that should be a big deal. Like, I don't care, man. Let's call it for what it is. We don't have enough national championships to ignore any program on campus
that's right.
That's going to go win a national title. So, like, that's how I felt with my guy, James Harkey, who was the head coach for Gamecocks lacrosse, and now Peter Candela, who we're actually going to have on the show pretty soon. I think it's important to highlight what all the student athletes at the University of South Carolina are doing, whether they're playing football or they're playing lacrosse or they're playing rugby. You know what I mean? So everybody's fighting, scratching and clawing and putting their blood, sweat, and tears in for the Garnet and Black bottom line in the story end of the day. So, it was a no-brainer for me, man, when the rugby guys reached out. I'm sure we'll add more, and I'm excited. We actually just added a softball player as well. So I think it's going to be really cool, like I said, man. And I was telling Gavin this is, the challenge is not everybody technically could be a TSUS athlete. I mean, it's not something, like I said, where it's like this complicated application process where you got to go through 100 different steps, nor should it be. But it's fun right now, at least, to be able to, from my vantage point, my point of view, to give back to the student athletes. And if nothing else, man, show love and show support and just let them know, hey, we rock with you. We, anything you need, just hit us up, let us know. And the fact that businesses like myself and others around the area across the state are able to do that's awesome. So, but it's been awesome to bring Gavin on and the others, and looking forward to continuing to support Gamecock Rugby for sure.
Oh man, we appreciate it so much. Gavin, you want to throw out your promo code for the TSUS merchandise store there?
I'm not going to lie. I don't have it off the top of my head. It's
on the pitch.
Yes. On the pitch.
It is rugby specific because who was it? I mean, I'm just as bad as you. Who was it? The original email, the guy who's the other Peter Blackburn, right? Is that his name?
Hey, shout out to my boy Pete. That's my gym
Peter
partner.
Blackburn. So he hit me up. And in the email it specifically said we would love to represent TSUS on the pitch. I was like, nice. That is beautifully phrased, my friend. So yeah, that was like, that's just the perfect. We'll just put that promo code out there. But yeah, it's 10% off TSUS.store. And again, that's just to give the guys the ability, the athletes, if they want to, like I said, push the merch or push the brand, whatever. But it's really about, man, TSUS. And also we're giving a cut of all those sales while those promo codes are used. That's the entire point. But
right.
Even beyond that, man, it's just about us supporting and showing love and those guys doing the same. It's a cool mutually beneficial, and it's just an awesome relationship. I'm just excited to see where it grows, because again, this is just the beginning, man. Like I said, we're all kind of learning as we go along, right. But it's something really, really cool.
Yeah, it's so cool that the trail is being blazed with Carolina Rugby involved in these NIL deals. Gavin, you've played football and rugby. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between the two? Because I think we're going to have a lot of people that are, going to watch this video and not know what rugby is. So we can kind of give them the differences real quick.
Yeah. So probably one of the biggest things I've noticed was, well, for me, when I came out to rugby, I was 300 pounds. Mm-hmm. And that didn't sit well with me, all the running and,
right.
It's constant movement. It's not like football. It's not, you're going super hard for 5 seconds and then you got like 40 seconds to recuperate and then you're going hard. It is a constant battle. I say this to the guys every time we go out on the pitch. It's not, all right, guys, we're going to go out there, like, mess around. We're going to war, and it's war for 80 minutes. It's everything you got for 80 minutes. And it's funny because I absolutely, like, I've been a football fan my entire life, but I have absolutely fallen in love with the game of rugby. And I'm going to honestly say, I think it's more of a team sport than football, because, you're running down the line, you see Luke Doty with the ball or Marshawn Lloyd or these guys. Anybody can get the ball in rugby. And that's one of the main reasons why I want to play. Because as an offensive lineman, it has been my dream my entire life just to get, like a handoff or something. So when you catch that, that offload or whatever, it's the best feeling in the world. So, I mean, I would probably say the biggest difference for me is just learning the concepts, because it's a foreign sport. I never touched a rugby ball until February of last year. So for me, it's a whole different sport. It's completely different. Formations are different. But I would say the biggest thing that I learned coming into it from football to rugby is just the conditioning. You can, Marshawn Lloyd, for instance, I'm going to keep saying his name because that is a freakish athlete. Javon Kinlaw, freakish athlete. But that's 2 guys out of a team of 70 guys. And I'm not saying nothing against, the big offensive linemen and defensive line, but those are big boys. To play rugby, you have to be a true athlete. You have to, when I was 270 pounds last year, I was playing prop. That didn't mean I could just, take a play off. I was constantly running around, running the ball. Oh, I'm back on defense. I'm making tackles. You have to be a true athlete to play rugby. And that's what I really have learned to appreciate. You can be really good at blocking in football, but, maybe you can't, do whatever. You have to be able to do all of it. You have to do you have to ruck. You have to be able to tackle. You have to be able to pass. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to do all these different things. And that's kind of that's the main thing that I've taken away from rugby as far as from the difference from football.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, you told me I have this huge smile on my face as you're talking about this, because this is what I talk about, to Chris about. I'm like, man, you just got to see it, man. So I've got a football guy here that played at Carolina who's now just, talking so big about rugby. It's just my dream come true. I wish more people would see it, because all you have to do is get people that are football fans or just American sports fans in general, watch rugby for 5 minutes and you're going to hook them. Because it's so intense, it's so physical. Here's the thing I will pitch with people that may have never seen the sport or might be interested, maybe high school athletes out there. Rugby, if you're playing football, if you're a lineman like yourself, you don't get involved in the decision making of what takes place on the field. You're assigned a job and you're told to go do that job. In rugby, everybody's a decision maker and everybody touches the ball. So, I mean, that right there, I think is a strong statement in favor of rugby and just how amazing it is and how awesome the sport is in general. So I'm going to stop gushing about rugby for a second and ask Chris.
Phil, quick question. Phil, I got a question for you first, Phil. Does Gavin know about you calling into the show every day talking about rugby in the way you just did? Does he know that? Gavin, in case you didn't know, Phil has made a name for himself on the Daily Crow, which, for those who may be tuned in, Monday through Friday, noon to 2, is the daily call-in Q&A show I do. Phil has made, what's been awesome about, not to go off on a tangent about this, but what's been awesome about the Daily Crow is the callers are the characters, or the people that comment. That's the beauty of the show, right? It's not for me to just go ramble for 2 hours. It's literally to take questions and sort of give the floor to the audience to produce the banter. Yeah. Well, Phil has established himself as rugby Phil. People know and expect Phil to call in and talk about rugby no matter what's going on in the world of Gamecocks athletics outside of it. So I just didn't know if you knew that yet.
No, I can appreciate that, though, and this is my honest opinion, I think rugby has more fans than we realize, because, I mean, we have these guys on our team, Callum Shand from Scotland. Mm-hmm. Obviously, American football is not that big in Scotland. Mm-hmm. So he comes over here and he's like, wow, there's there's not a lot of people at y'all's games. It's not as prevalent. And I'm like, it's because nobody knows about the sport. So I can appreciate you, Phil, for, pushing it. Because I honestly think if people took 5-10 minutes to watch a rugby game, it's got all the action. I feel like it's more fast paced, and it's got just as much blood and, pounding other people's faces. That's my favorite part. I'm going to say that right now. That's my favorite part about rugby is getting to absolutely punish somebody. Mm-hmm. And then, after the game, give them a handshake and, give them a little fist bump, and it's all good to go.
Yeah, man, it's so great. I've been a rugby evangelist since I was 17 years old. So I've converted a lot of people over the years, but it's so awesome to, turn people on to rugby and they get hooked to it. It's a lot of fun. I'm the rugby guy. Everybody knows that at this point on the Daily Crow. Anytime I talk about rugby, I just light up. My eyes, they just look a little bit brighter. My smile gets bigger. But let's talk to Chris about, I know that you're a supporter of Carolina Rugby, and you've mentioned, all club sports at Carolina. You've had Coach John Roberts, who is the coach of Carolina Rugby, on the Spurs Up Show. What's your impressions of him?
What a legend. And I had Coach John Roberts in the studio too, which is awesome. Just seemed like a really cool, genuine dude, guy I want to sit down and have a beer with. And I mean, his impression of CPAPy was the fact he did that in person.
Yeah.
And he obviously did the voice for the video.
Mhm.
But him coming by the studio, man, I mean, again, just seemed like a real, actually, you know, what's funny. I don't know. And Phil, I think you know this, but I ran into Coach Roberts in Charlotte the night before the bowl game when South Carolina played North Carolina. And he was at Ink and Ivy, which was sort of the Gamecock bar for the Charlotte Gamecock Club, if you will. But man, just seemed like a real genuine dude, cool dude, loves what he does. Obviously, you know, he was at Furman and he's a legend. Fields named after him, literally. Yes. I was like, you know, I don't think I've ever had anybody, number one on the podcast, definitely not in the studio, who has a literal field named after them. And Phil made the point to mention that, hey, this is probably the most decorated coach ever that I ever.
Three-time national champion.
Right. I definitely have never had a 3-time national champion on the show. So just came off to me, man, as a real genuine dude, cool dude. Again, loves what he does too, because the path he obviously took to get the head coaching job at South Carolina and sort of, you know, just being in limbo up in the air. You really got to be passionate about what you do and really want it. You know what I mean? It's you can't be kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out in that situation. So definitely loves Gamecocks rugby and loves the Gamecocks overall, and excited to have him in Columbia. And like I said, that CPAPy voice was awesome. So no, just a real legend, man. Y'all are definitely lucky to have him as the head coach.
For the folks that don't know, CPAPy is the official mascot of Carolina Rugby. He's quite the savage. Let's just say that. Gavin, I know that you just got back from practice before you jumped on the interview here. Give us an update about Carolina Rugby with the practices and what's going on with the spring schedule.
So as far as our schedule goes, we've got a few sevens tournaments lined up. I believe we're headed to ECU within the next few weeks, potentially doing some things there. There's talk of maybe going to a Panthers camp, a U23 camp, and just among some other ones, there's St. Patrick's Day events. I believe there's one in Athens. We're doing the Furman Invitational. There's a lot of sevens tournaments coming up, so I'm very excited about that. And coach decided to sprinkle in a little bit of 15s as well. So there's going to be a happy little balance between the two, which I'm very excited because I've never played sevens before. I've only played a few 15s games. So I'm actually really excited to just kind of, you know, learn the game as I go and just like absorb the culture and all that stuff.
Yeah, over the weekend, the USA women won the gold medal in sevens, the World Series of Sevens in Spain. So they're going to be playing this weekend as well. You know, just so proud of them. And I've had a couple of those girls on my show and the other show that I do, which is the Jacks Rangers show. But sevens, Chris, I know that you're a newbie to all this. So 15s is the regular version of rugby union is what it's called. But sevens is a fast-paced version of 15. So it's 7-on-7 for 7-minute halves. So it's a quicker game. They play multiple games throughout the course of a weekend to determine like the champion and stuff like that. So yeah, just a lot of very intense and quick players that play on sevens. So yeah, it's a great way I think it's a great way to introduce people to the sport is, hey, watch sevens and then, you know, we'll build you up to 15s. So yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Question for the both of you, and I'll let Chris go first. What's so special about the University of South Carolina?
The people definitely make the difference. I think it's the loyalty, the passion, the undying loyalty, right? Because you look at Gamecocks athletics as a whole, and certainly football is king. Obviously, baseball, I would look at as sort of our crown jewel. Men's basketball is sort of there. We're trying to figure it out. Yeah. And women's basketball, of course, what Dawn Staley's doing is incredible. And we've got plenty of other great sports as well. But it's the people, the undying, you know, you hear the stories of the fans showing up in the late 90s when Carolina football wasn't winning anything and they were putting 85,000 in the seats at Willie B. And, you know, fans continue to show up and show out. I mean, again, you think about it, man, like doing what I do, you know, what makes the difference truly, what makes South Carolina stand out, Gamecock Nation unique. If Gamecock Nation wasn't special and passionate and loyal, there's no way I could do what I do for a living because, I mean, I've literally built my business. You know, it's not like I jumped into a program where South Carolina football was going undefeated every year and just every sports program is thriving and at their peaks, if you will. The fact that we've been able to build the platform around some turmoil, call it for what it is, right? Football went through tumultuous times and things are getting better now, but it's because of Gamecock fans support each other, resonate to one another. Again, man, for me, it's just the people. Again, the passion stands out. Again, South Carolina fans for a long time haven't had a ton to crow about. You know, again, there's a couple baseball national championships and of course what Dawn Staley's doing with a national title, but for the most part, man, there hasn't been a ton to crow about. And it's like, why do people keep showing up and why do people keep supporting? And it's like, they don't just keep showing up, but it's like, they're more passionate than they were a year ago. They're more fired up. They're more excited. You give Gamecock fans a glimmer of hope, right? And they're there no matter what. Yeah. So it's the people, man. And it's just, you know, you interact and run into people. You know, it doesn't have to be in Columbia. You know, you're at an airport somewhere, you see somebody with that block C or that SC, and you know, you say go Cox or Spurs Up, and it's like you have that bond, you have that connection. You know, you both bleed that garnet and black, if you will. You know, for me, it's you know, I go back to it's a family thing, and that's how it feels. Gamecock Nation feels like a big family, and I always say that, man. Even the people that despise me on social media, which they are out there, like if you bleed the garnet and black, we are all one big family. We may be a dysfunctional family, right, but damn it, we are a big family nonetheless. So it's that's the way it feels too, man. And like I said, without the passion of Gamecock fans and their loyalty and their support, you know, there's no way I'd be able to do what I do, because most people just can't fathom, like, wow, how can you know, create a business, a self-sufficient business out around just one single individual college team and college program? And it's because the Gamecock Nation and Gamecock fans are just the most loyal, the most passionate in all of college football in the entire country. I say all of college athletics too. So for me, man, it's just really the people that make the difference. And again, you can talk about the traditions and the majesty and the garnet and black and the uniforms and, you know, the great athletes that have come through for sure. All those things help, and the campus and, you know, all that, the history, whatever. But it's really, to me, I mean, again, man, the people and the fan base and everybody that wears that garnet and black, and everybody has a special connection. Again, this isn't something where you dive in as a bandwagon, if you will, or what have you. It's in your blood, and it never leaves you, for better or for worse, I guess. So, right. Yeah, I mean, it's truly special, really.
Gavin, before you answer, I just wanted to give you a mullet update, my brother. You inspired me here. Look at this.
Look, I'm honestly, as the former mullet man, I'm thoroughly impressed. I mean, Chris, yours is looking good too, but so you'll know, I got a little bit of competition for you guys. Okay. Give me a few months. We can reevaluate, but right now, you're killing it.
Gavin, your mullet when it was peak was pretty. You don't get an article written about you for nothing. It was legendary, that's for sure. Yeah, with the Pit Vipers.
Oh yeah.
Journalism is my minor for whatever reason. Never liked writing papers, anything like that. But it was given to me, and every time in the beginning of the semester, there is somebody who comes in to give a presentation about the school newspaper, and I see at the bottom it says Gavin Bennett, the best mullet on campus, and I get this like warm feeling that I've left my mark on the University of South Carolina forever, not for playing rugby, not for playing football, not for academics, but for having the best haircut during quarantine. So,
and by the way, what I love too is before I even knew Gavin, you could have spotted his dad from a mile away, because it was like you'd see Gavin like going like this to the crowd, and you just see the other random guy like, it's like, okay, I'm like, they're related in some way. So it's a family tradition, I feel like, for the Bennetts, for sure.
Absolutely.
Gavin, you're the mullet man, and I'm the mullet old man. So there you go. So, Gavin, what's your answer? What is so special about the University of South Carolina?
You know, if I'm being honest, Chris, you hit it on, you hit the nail on the head. To go a little bit more specifically for me, as my experience as a student, I'm going to say it's the students and the alumni that have just left a super long impact on me. And, I came here and I was never really, like in tune with like the culture. Like I was a Gamecock fan through and through, but, I came to Columbia and, after the game, I'd go home. But once I got here, the people I met on the first day, I'm a senior right now, and we are still best friends. I've met a lot of influential alumni, Phil.
Yeah.
A lot of people through football and rugby. And honestly, like I can wholeheartedly say, without the people that I've met here at the University of South Carolina, my 4 years here would have meant nothing to me. I honestly feel like I am the man I am today because of the people I've met and the memories I've made with them, good and bad. Maybe a few too many nights at Pavs and stuff like that my freshman year. But I've learned and I've grown so much just through the people that have just left a lasting impact on my life. So I think Chris, I mean, I can't really speak on it better than you did. I think you did a really good job with it, but it's the people, it's the crowd, it's just everybody you meet on campus is just a good person, and the people that come back for the banquets and the all the stuff. Yeah, Chris, you hit it on the nail. Like you did it perfect. It's the people, it's the students, the alumni, it's everybody in Columbia. So.
Heck yeah, man. So before we get out of here, we've got one word association. So I'm going to say a word or two words, and Chris is like, yeah, I know what's going to happen here. So Chris, I'm going to have you say one word, and I'm going to go over to Gavin real quick, and he's going to say whatever comes to his mind. Hopefully it's a different word. Okay. We've got a very short time here remaining, so we're going to get through these real quick. So Chris, you're up first. Williams-Brice.
Stadium.
Electric.
John Roberts.
Legend.
Funny.
The Horseshoe.
Iconic.
Never been. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow.
How is that possible?
The Horseshoe. All my classes are at Darla. I'm sorry.
Wow. That is
Stop
crazy.
the tape. Stop the tape.
I'm just gonna go with Chick-fil-A because Russell House. That's it.
All right, just leave this video right now and go walk there, okay?
I'm on my way.
All right. So the second to last one is Carolina.
Gamecocks.
Experience.
And the last one is Gamecocks.
Passion.
Rugby.
Yeah. Woo! All right, that's
Love
it,
that.
boys.
That was the right answer. Love that.
I appreciate y'all being here. We're going to say two words. It's the name of Chris's show in 3, 2, 1. Spurs up.
Spurs up.
Spurs up, baby.